So this is day 15 of the videos that I'm making to help raise awareness and understanding of PTSD, and today I'm going to talk just a little bit about PTSD and substance misuse and the interaction between them. And when I say substance misuse, I'm talking about problems with alcohol, with illicit drugs, prescribed drugs and over-the-counter medications. So the whole range I'm just putting together as substance misuse. And there is a big crossover between people who have difficulties with substance misuse who have also experienced trauma in their background. Up to 59% will have what could be described as PTSD presentation, and an even greater number will have had trauma in their history. So it's a massive number of people who are in treatment for substance misuse who have got a history of trauma. And if we think about why that might be, it can be useful to think about what drugs do, especially alcohol and heroin, which are ones that people seem to really be drawn towards when they've got a history of trauma. And both of those drugs are depressants. Both of them slow the system down. Now, if we think of someone being very hypervigilant and very panicky, then a drug that helps the system calm down would seem to be quite something that you might want to take. And in terms of heroin especially, it's very much an emotional painkiller, and people have described it as being in the North Pole. So imagine you're in the North Pole, you're freezing cold, and someone comes and wraps a warm, soft blanket around you and gives you a cup of hot chocolate to hold on to. And that's what it can feel like when you start taking heroin. This does not mean go and take heroin, but in terms of understanding why people might be drawn to it, if you are always struggling with flashbacks, with hypervigilance, and something comes along that makes you feel safe, you can understand where that pull is coming from. And one thing people have found is that when they start to try and come off different substances, actually their PTSD experiences can kind of really come up again. So now you've got somebody who's trying to come off drugs or alcohol and all the difficulties that can bring, and they're also getting an increasing or a re-emergence of PTSD experiences around flashbacks, nightmares, intrusive thoughts, hypervigilance. So you can see how people can really get kind of trapped a little bit in terms of substance misuse and PTSD. And if we think about some of the problems that come along with substance misuse, then actually people who really struggle with that often end up being in situations where they are further traumatised, be that being assaulted or finding different ways to pay for drugs. People can be very vulnerable. So you're then getting this further trauma being laid on what a pre-existing trauma. So that's just a little bit about some of the interactions between PTSD and substance misuse in terms of why we might see so much and why it can be really hard to come off it. That's me for today, and I'll see you tomorrow.